What's up, everybody? Good late morning. We are back and we are looking at more free agent quarterbacks. And I mean, the pool dries up quickly, right? And that should be expected. A quarterback who is really good or great or elite or whatever qualifier you want to use, they don't make it to free agency because the team doesn't let them go anywhere. So when a really good quarterback makes it to free agency, it takes an extreme circumstance. If you consider Darnold to be a really good quarterback, he's a good example of that, right? He, out of nowhere, had a Pro Bowl season for the Vikings, but they didn't want to commit to him mid-season because of McCarthy, and then he falls off in the last two games of the year really badly. So they decide to pump the brakes a little bit, understandably so, and they may not retain him, so he may be available. But other than circumstances like that, where really weird stuff happens, good quarterbacks don't make it. So if you get past those first two guys that we talked about earlier, which was Sam Darnold and Russell Wilson, you're kind of either taking shots at like lottery ticket starters, guys who have some talent, have some pedigree, or have had some track record of success, but they're just not likely to pan out as good starters, or they're guys that you're signing as stopgaps just to have somebody man the position for a season while you figure out what you want to do long term, or they're high quality backups who you sign because you're a little bit concerned about your starter or you want really good insurance. So, four guys in this class, in my view, although really we're going by Spotrac, right? I don't always agree with what Spotrac finds, but they certainly put more into this than I do. I'm just one man. Spotrac is a team of people, presumably, and an algorithm that they've been fine-tuning for years. So let's take a look at what they have and take a look at some money options. Okay, first guy is going to be Justin Fields. First low-end starter. This is a guy who you would sign him maybe as a starter, I guess. You would sign him to compete for the starting job. I guess you could sign him as a change of pace quarterback or a backup, a good backup with upside. But he's not a pure backup, right? There's a little too much going on with Justin Fields to call him a purified backup. But I can't go much further than that. I will say he's about to turn 26, still young, could get better. And he did come off his best season in Pittsburgh, where he actually did play some pretty respectable football the first 6 games of the year, and even provided some fun snaps after those first 6 games. Efficient, effective, didn't turn the ball over a bunch, still very limited, still not really what you're looking for above the year, between the years. My big problem with Fields is that he's supposedly kind of lazy. That's the reputation he had at Ohio State. I don't know if he's going to be able to shake that, but to me, that makes it a lot less likely he's going to get better at the things he needs to get better at. He did play a little better with the Steelers, but I mean, we saw that Steelers team with him and then with Wilson, even with Wilson in his very much advanced state at 36 years old, Wilson still looked better, excuse me, than Fields did. Wilson did a better job with that offense. So if Fields was a money in the bank starter, you would think that would not happen. PFF gave him a decent grade last year, 71.5. And I say decent because even though this looks good, and for most positions it would be, it only ranked 36th in the league of qualifying QBs. And the year before that with the Bears, it was actually a slightly bit better, but still, if you're stacking him up against every other starting quarterback or quarterback that qualifies, he's in the lower half of starters by a pretty decent margin. So there are some things about him that are fun. There are some things about him that are exciting, but he is that low-end starter or high-end backup range. Spotrac says 1 year, $6.4 million. Sounds about right to me. I think that would be a reasonable marker for him. I think that would be okay. I'm speaking from a general perspective, by the way. I'm not a fan of Fields at all. I don't think he's good. I think that the things that he needs to work on are not going to get worked on the way they need to, and he's always going to be this super limited quarterback. Always going to be playing in a box that limits your play calling and limits what you can do as an offense. So 1 year, 6.4 million. I mean, you could do worse. That's not a bad price point. If you're paying your backup quarterback 1 year, 6.4 million, that's not too bad. There have been teams that have paid backups, 10 million a year. I remember the Cowboys several years ago did that with Andy Dalton. So that was years ago too, by the way. So why not? Next guy would be Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, I think we all know about Jameis Winston at this point, right? I don't need to say a ton about him. He's got the talent, he's got the arm, he's got the pedigree, he's got the size, got the, I don't want to call it a dual threat ability, but he does have some running ability. It's all there, but he can't help himself. Takes too many chances, turns the ball over too much, and he's just dancing around the league right now, trying to find a home and getting a reputation for being, the goofy guy, which is working out great for him. And it's amazing that he's managed to pull this off, given what he was earlier in his career. But yeah, he's a fun guy to have around, it seems like. Entertaining character, but doesn't seem like he's 30. He's going to be 31. He's about to be 31. I don't think he's going to change at this point. This isn't a Geno Smith situation where Geno had a couple of bad years and then basically didn't play at all for, I mean, what was it, 7 years? Winston gets to play pretty much everywhere he goes quite a bit. And other than 1 year under Sean Payton's tutelage, the great Sean Payton, it just hasn't been effective enough. It's been fun, it's been entertaining, but it hasn't resulted in consistent winning football. So PFF, by the way, they thought he was pretty good last year, although barely, not even in the top 30 for quarterbacks. And he didn't really play much in 2023. 2022, I mean, the grade is workable, but again, it's barely top half, barely top 40. There are only 32 starting quarterbacks in the league, right? So I think we all know what's up with Winston. Botrack says 2 years, 12 million. I mean, you could certainly do worse as a backup. I would not be signing this guy as a starter unless I'm throwing the season away. Like if I were a team like the Giants, I guess, and I knew this season wasn't going to be good, but I knew Jameis Winston could at least get the ball to my playmakers and make neighbors happy in the meantime, I might go for that. But in terms of actually trying to win anything with him, I think that ship has long sailed. At least Fields is young, right? At least Fields theoretically could get a little bit better and it would make sense. Winston suddenly becoming a really good quarterback at this point would not make a lot of sense. So 2 years, 12 million, not super into that. Next guy, was surprised to see this guy on Spotrack's radar, Mac Jones. Yeah, that's right, McCorkle. Again, I think we know what's up here. He's got some pedigree, was a top 15 pick. Gonna turn 27 right around the time the season starts. So got that. He's got the size. He's got a decent arm. He's got the supposed intangibles. He had a good rookie season with Belichick, right? He made the playoffs, made the Pro Bowl. There was some good stuff going on with Mac Jones, and since then it's been a decline. And he found himself off of New England after 2023. Didn't even get a starting job that offseason, went to Jacksonville, and I mean, I guess he played passably when Trevor Lawrence got hurt, but there's still nothing here to indicate he's a franchise quarterback the way that New England was hoping when they picked him. And overall, he's probably going to have a long career of being a backup for random teams in front of him. But Spotrack actually has him earmarked to get non-trivial money. More on that in a second. So PFF thought that last year he played passably well, but not good. Not even really average if you look at it. 65 is below average for a quarterback. 47th in the league. It wasn't a huge sample size, but it was enough to get a general feel for him. And in 2023, when he was still the starter in New England, he was really bad. One of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Not even in the top 60. So not exciting, not good, not what you want from your quarterback. It's really easy to get good PFF scores if you're playing competent quarterback, and he wasn't. He has in the past, but now. Now, Spotrac has put all this into their calculator, and they estimate he's going to get 1 year, 5.4 million, which would make him kind of a lottery ticket starter, somebody you sign to compete, and you just see if they show you anything. Or I guess you could call him a slightly more expensive than average starter, somebody who is making non-trivial money, but if you feel good about him in the event of an injury, then it's money well spent, I guess. I'm a little bit surprised about this one. I understand there's some pedigree here, but again, Spotrac does have their formula. They generally do quite well. And Mac Jones, I don't think he's going to get exactly this, but it's going to be close. I don't think he's a vet min guy yet. I think he's played too much football and has too much of a pedigree to do that. One last guy, and this one surprises me as well, and I'll just go ahead and say it. I have my doubts that anybody is going to sign this guy with any realistic chance of starting in 2025, but Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush, been a Cowboy for a little while here, played a decent amount spelling Dak Prescott over the years. When Dak Prescott has gotten hurt, he has stepped in and played very, very boring, very, very safe, and yet somehow competent football. He's won way more than he's lost. Went 4-1, spelling Dak Prescott in 2022 when Dak got hurt. Didn't put up any good numbers. Didn't put up points. Yet somehow, some way, found a way to win after win after win. And then last year, a Cowboys team that was pretty listless going into the second half of the year that had just lost Dak Prescott, they managed to go 4-4 with Cooper Rush at the helm, and he looked pretty decent. I'm skeptical that anybody's going to give this guy a starting job, but I will say that Cowboys offense does not have a lot of tools in place for a quarterback to succeed. They have one really good receiver. They don't have any running backs. Their offensive line got ripped up last offseason. It's it's CeeDee Lamb, little bit of Jake Ferguson, and not really much else. So Cooper Rush winning games and putting up okay numbers with that group gets my attention. A little bit. Now, PFF is not a fan, mostly because, I don't know what he did to deserve this rushing grade, but this is not good. 24, hard to do worse. So poorly graded, and then back in 2022 when he went 4-1 as a starter, very poorly graded again. So I don't know exactly how to parse that. You wouldn't expect that from somebody who's just kind of a game manager. Usually game managers do well on PFF. But anyway, Spotrac does think he's going to get an amount of money that you feel, right? 1 year, $5 million is an amount of money that a team feels. It's not a big deal, but that is a player that you want something out of. That is a player that you're looking at and going, okay, give me something. Even if that something is just peace of mind that we can win if the starter gets hurt for a game or a half or a quarter. I guess you can't really argue with the facts. He has done a decent amount of winning over the last few years. And while there isn't a lot of NFL caliber talent, there's some level of experience he's built up that is valuable. So that's Cooper Rush. I don't think he's going to get a starting job. I think it's going to be a high-end backup. I think he's going to be one of those guys who maybe pushes a starter without actually ever being in real danger of taking the guy's job. And that's it for this group. Again, it's thin. There's not much here. Justin Fields is probably the most interesting guy if you want a genuine lottery ticket on a future starter. Winston, I think at this point that ship has sailed. You can get him as a starter, but only if you're not really thinking that much about the 2025 season. And Mac Jones and Cooper Rush to me are, well, Mac Jones is already proven to be acquired as a backup by Jacksonville, and I don't think Cooper Rush is going to be any different this year. I don't think anybody's giving him a starting job. But let me know what you think about this crew. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming soon, more quarterback stuff. Everyone, continue to have a good day as we move towards the afternoon.